Hello and welcome to another episode of BWN TV. I'm really enjoying these interviews. They are a chance for you to meet some of the amazing people that speak at our events and attend our events. So what we're doing is we're going to talk to all our golden ticket members first, and then we're going to start to talk to lots of other business women. And it's been amazing so far. We've learned some very interesting things. We've been very serious and grown up and professional. We really haven't. But I think that's the great thing about being in business, is that we can come together and be professional, but have a laugh and really get to know one another. And my guest today is Michelle Taylor, and she's someone very special to the BWN. She always brings a lot of love and respect. And I think one of the best moments was the end of last year when she did something. Michelle's 60 seconds is never just talking. It's normally a song or a poem or something that just makes you stop in your tracks and go, yeah, life's good. Life's good. So, Michelle, tell us a bit more about yourself.
Hi, I'm the funky celebrant. Yay!
Yay! She definitely is.
I bring fun and laughter to all sorts of ceremonies, from naming ceremonies to weddings, vow renewals, you name it. If you can find a reason to have a celebration, I can create a ceremony for you.
You do indeed. So Michelle we had a little chat one day, and we were coming up to, I think, the 8th birthday for the BWN. And as the BWN's got older, you kind of get more respectful of it, because on average, a company will only last 3 years if it's lucky. So to be 8 years old was quite exciting. And I said to everyone, what should we do? How do we celebrate? And so I said, we can make a cake and we can do this. And then Michelle said, well, have you ever considered a corporate celebration? I was like, don't know what that is. But it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Music, and it was just hilarious. But the best one, I think, was the 10th.
Yeah.
You came back and did it on the 10th, didn't you? Tell us a bit more about what you did on the 10th. That was just amazing.
Well, Robin made the cake, didn't she? Which you knew nothing. You knew she was making the cake, but you didn't know what's going to be on it. But I'd actually,
I paid for the cake,
that was it.
And I said, let them do it. Dangerous.
Yeah. But I went through all the ladies on the BWN and said, give me your top 10 inspirational women. So it was your 10th birthday, and we did 10 women that inspire us as part of that. And then I gave all the details of those women to Robin, and she put all those faces on the cake, including yours, obviously, because you were one of the 10. But then the people that were in the room that had actually nominated one of the people, I got them to say why they've nominated them and stuff like that. Obviously, we had music, and it was just fun just to say why these women, historical and current figures, have influenced us and make us proud to be where we are at in the world today as women. And it was really emotional, wasn't it? And just empowering.
Because no one would let me see the cake.
Yeah.
No one would let me see the cake. So there was about 75 of us in the room on that day. BBC Essex Radio turned up. We had a spaceman there.
Yeah.
Actually, a spaceman. He had the spacesuit that David Bowie wore in his last ever video. To say the BWN is quite a unique place is an understatement. Yeah. We had a Mary Poppins impersonator, one of the best in the country, Nicole. Yeah. And we had a magician as well. Yeah. And I kept saying, can I have a look at the cake? And everyone kept going, no. I just want to look at the cake. I wish I'd seen it, because I couldn't talk. I just was like, it's marvellous. And then I saw, when you see your face next to some of the most amazing women ever in history, you kind of go, oh, I've made something here, haven't I? It's never been about me. That's what I like, is the way you work is you're able to pick it apart and find out what something is really about. And what you brought to that day was the realization that I never wanted the BWN to be the Mandie Holgate show. I always wanted it to be about women, and wherever you are in your career, moving you forward. And that's what you did on that day. You showcased that it was no one person was more important than anybody else, which I just thought was amazing.
Yeah, no, it was a good morning, that one was. Yeah.
It was. We all went away very, very happy. It's quite hard to keep that level of motivation in a networking event where everyone is just, well, for me, I like the start of the event where there's 2 boxes, and by the time everyone arrives at 10 o'clock for a start of a virtual networking event, everyone's shrunk to a tiny little box, and it's quite hard to network in that way. There is brilliant elements to it. I love the fact that I got second screen and I can be double checking. Do I follow that person on LinkedIn? No, I don't. Oh, I didn't realise I didn't follow them. That's embarrassing. Oh, and you know, someone will say about something and you can look at it straight away. I love the interaction of it, but I find some elements are hard. How have you found it?
I've obviously become a bit of a Zoom expert, as most people have, I think. I host coffee mornings twice a week for fellow celebrants, and a lot of them have said it's been an absolute lifeline for them, just knowing that there's somebody out there that they can just unload on, which has been really good. And I've taken part in quizzes. I'm having a meeting tonight with a load of people in a newly formed organisation that I'm part of, and we're just going to sit there and drink wine and get to know each other, and it's brilliant when, especially because these people are actually all over the country, that we can't meet up in person, but this is the next best thing. We're going to get to know each other, and the networking's okay. I would rather be there in person, because you can't beat a genuine smile and a genuine hug, but it's nice just to be able to actually connect rather than just talk to somebody on the phone, that we can actually see their faces on screen. It's been, I think, a massive help to so many people, including me, so that's good.
I was saying to a BWN business owner the other day, actually, and I said I never realised how many hugs I must have got a month, because I normally would go to at least 2 or 3 events a month, and like mine can normally have about 40 or 50 people, so I was probably getting 100 plus hugs every month. And it makes you realise that businesses become quite tactile. I think when I was on like the immune suppressant medications, I was very unkeen to let anyone give me the kiss. But it's interesting how it's changed, because I was taught in business 20 plus some years that you do the handshake, you do a nice straight handshake, you make eye contact and you smile. That was how you did business. But it's become increasingly difficult, because you go to say hello and then someone starts kissing you, like, oh, we're kissing, and then they do 2 and you think, oh, I thought I knew you better than that, because in France you get the 3 if you know them well, don't you? And it's like, oh no, and then someone might go to give you 3 and you think, oh, I was only going to give you 2. It's so confusing. I think I might like it if we went to a simpler system. Well, I suppose we will have a simpler system after.
We're all going to bow and curtsy. Go back to the good old days. I
quite like the thing that when people arrive on the screen, they wave.
But I mean, a lot of people have said that, saying I've never waved at anybody in a meeting. Why am I suddenly finding myself waving on Zoom? I said, because at the beginning or an end of a face-to-face meeting, you would always give a handshake. We can't have that physical contact. So the next best thing is we're going to wave to each other to acknowledge that we're saying goodbye or hello, whatever. So I'm thinking, I don't think there's anything wrong with waving.
No, I don't. I have seen some comments where people have been quite negative about it, but I actually think that, well, these handy things, when you're doing presentations, you're not supposed to use these a lot, because otherwise it becomes distracted and people can't listen, and they're like, oh my god, that person's making my eyes go funny. But I think I've noticed, actually, you saying that, I've noticed in the networking events, more people are kind of doing hand signals and things in the background. If something happens, they're like, you know, I mean, everyone in the world now has a level of understanding of words that didn't have anything before. What do we all know this to mean? It means unmute your mic. And this is, yes, we can hear you. Carry on. Dear. So in lockdown, your business has obviously come to a complete halt, hasn't it? I really felt I have a bit of a soft spot for Radio 2's Sunday morning love songs, but I had to stop listening to it because it was just all these people phoning and saying we were due to get married and this isn't happening, and it was like, oh my god, this is so sad. How have you been helping all your lovely couples that have just had their weddings taken away?
I've just been, I've written this year off. I've just had to. I mean, this was the first year. Last year was stupid busy, so this year I said I'm not going to do as many ceremonies. I didn't quite mean to, which is all I've done. And this was the first year that I've actually had ever. I had at least one ceremony every single month of the year. First time ever. It's normally I'll have one in the winter at the beginning, one in the winter at the end, and then chock-a-block from May to September, October. But this year I had at least one every single month, and it's like, yes, brilliant. So I got January and February done. March should have happened the week we went into lockdown, but they'd had to cancel a couple of weeks before that anyway because the groom's American, and obviously all of the American guests couldn't get over, so they'd had to postpone anyway. They postponed to September, and they're now having to postpone until next year. So I feel gutted for them that, you know, 2 postponements. And there's another couple of my couples have had to do that as well, and had to postpone the second time into next year. So next year is going to be stupidly busy. But it's all rebookings rather than new work, and it's like, oh, I would just like to have a few new jobs, but then again I'm thinking, where am I going to squeeze them in? but yeah, I mean, for my couples, I've just kept them up to date. I've emailed them. I've sent out a couple of like electronic, I can't remember what the word is, not messages, but blog post to them, kind of thing, to say this is where I'm doing, how are you doing, kind of thing. I've had beginning of May I did a virtual wedding vow workshop, the vow writing workshop. So I had 7 of my couples online at the same time, and we just went through, you know, writing your vows, because this is something that new that I was offering this year anyway. But it was quite nice for them to all talk, see where they were at with their weddings, discuss ideas for vows and how they were going to do it and things like that. They've stolen some ideas off each other. One couple says, oh, we've got llamas. Another couple says, oh, we want llamas. Oh, can you afford llamas? No, we can't, but I want them now. You've got them. You know, so that was quite funny. So just trying to keep them connected to me connected to them, say, look, I am here. I'm not going to charge you more money because you've had to move. It's not your fault. Luckily, everybody's moved to a date that I've managed to accommodate, albeit 4 ceremonies are now happening. I've got two on one day and 2 on another day, but they're so close together I can actually accommodate them both. So I haven't had to say goodbye to anybody yet, and I'd be absolutely gutted if I did. And it's just, yeah. And everybody says, well, you know, some people have said, oh, should we pay you now? I said, no, I've written off this year for any earnings. I'd rather you pay me what you owe me next year, so at least I'm earning next year. Yeah. So I only have to write off 1 year for lack of earnings rather than 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And luckily I've got a pension, and that's just about, we've both got pensions, and that's about, it's keeping us afloat.
We talked about pensions last time with Sarah Travers, actually, and that's something that's quite a concern that a lot of people. Interesting, I heard on the news that half the country is actually better off, and the other half of the country are a lot worse off. And unfortunately, I think a lot of self-employed people come into the lot worse off. Yeah. It's been, not everyone is able to look at ways to take their company online. I know you've been very diverse in what you're getting up to now, and you've got other things that you're getting involved in. Is there anything you can talk about yet?
I'm setting
book.
Yeah, no books, no.
Oh, that's book that goes to the weddings.
The what?
Your children's book.
Oh, that book, yeah. This book, yeah. I mean, no, this was from last year.
I know. Tell us a bit about that, because it's such a beautiful story.
Yeah, so it never turned into anything, but I got approached by a same-sex couple who wanted to have a naming ceremony for their son. And I went, yes, I'm available, blah, 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 but they never came back to me, so they obviously found somebody else. But what I wanted to do was, I knew that there was a company that were doing colouring books for kids for naming ceremonies. So I ordered some because I thought I'm going to start giving these out at my naming ceremonies to the children, and I got it, and it was like, oh, where's the diversity?
Oh.
Daddy was putting up balloons while Mummy was making a cake.
Oh.
Pictures were shocking. There was no ethnic diversity, no LGBTQ diversity, nothing at all. So I got straight onto my mate who was LGBTQ equality weddings, and I went, I want to do a colouring book for children which is diverse. So we have, I say that page, we've got a disabled mum, you know, and we're just talking about what your name means to people, but the pictures are just inclusive of everybody, and it's so, and I just love the fact that I'm on the front page. Nobody can dispute that's me.
I love it, and I think it's these opportunities. I think you sum what a good business owner is. I'm not sure everyone likes the term entrepreneur, but I think a good business owner is, this is what I do, but then things come up and you think, well, I could do something to make that better. I could do something to make that better. And I think that's the brilliance of a good business owner, that you can see things that aren't working and you go, no, I'm going to do that. I know that secretly Michelle's involved in some amazing things right now. So hopefully you will come back later in the year and tell us all about them.
Yeah, I'm hoping at least one project is going to come to fruition in September.
Cool.
I'm working with some awesome people on bringing that to life. Credit card's going to get a hammering, but hey ho, that's what credit cards for. But it will, obviously it will make my money back if it comes off. But it's also going to be a massive learning platform for celebrants all across the UK. Celebrants that are already trained. So I'm hoping this will come to fruition around about September. So I can certainly come back to you when it's off the ground and people are actually gaining benefit from what I want to launch, which is, for me, it's not just about ceremony, it's not just about the happiest day of people's lives, which is very, very important, but as I've grown older, as I've got wiser in my business, it's about making sure that other celebrants have the same learning opportunities available to them, and that we are all singing off the same song sheet, and that we are all diverse and looking at equality and inclusivity, and that we just get it. Majority of celebrants do get it, but like any society, there's a few people that just don't, and I want them especially to be brought up to speed to say, just no, we're celebrants because we love people. We shouldn't be
That's a lovely way of putting it.
Yeah, we shouldn't be excluding anybody.
No. But I think sometimes people get excluded not because someone's been mean or deliberately doing it, they just haven't even thought about it.
Yeah, exactly. But I want people to be aware of all these little things that say, okay, 99% of the things that you need to be aware of might never ever come up in a ceremony or couple that you're dealing with. But if only 1% or 0.1% of it comes up, you're prepared.
Yeah.
And then for others, there's going to be times when you're challenged with several things. And again, you're going to be prepared and confident. And that's what I want celebrants to be. I'm a confident person. I am not scared of, if I'm faced with something that I don't know anything about, I'm not scared about asking the question or going off and learning. Where there are people who are like, oh, I didn't want to ask them direct because I didn't want to offend. They'd rather you ask them direct than not ask at all.
But again, that's something that business owners, we all have to do all the time. We do have to ask questions that we're not comfortable in asking, and we do have to constantly learn. And I think lockdown is, I mean, I know that I've never sold so many of my courses, and I think people are using this opportunity to really think about, what do we do in our business and how are we going to ensure that whatever the future looks like, we're ready for it. So moving forward into the future, do you feel good about it? Are you a bit nervous? So have you got a piece of advice that you could give to everyone that's watching today?
All of the above. I've learnt to podcast. That is the future.
Yay!
Funny story. Like, so you suggested me for a possible job.
I did.
And I looked at all the spec, and it's like, oh, but I can't do that. Oh, but I've always wanted to podcast. This is a good time to learn. So you suggested me on the Friday, on the Thursday. I spent all Friday researching it. Saturday recorded my first podcast, and Sunday published it. After learning how to edit.
That's fantastic. Do you know what? That's one of the things I love to be able to bring to the Business Women's Network, because when I sit on a one-to-one with a client and I help that business owner think bigger than they've ever thought before, it's the most amazing thing when you see them get the results they want. Yeah. And that's something, as founder of the Business Women's Network, I've always wanted to bring, that however successful you think you can be, trust me, I know you can be bigger. And so when someone says to me, I can't do that, I say, for what reason? Yeah. You know, and I love that you've gone, I sent an opportunity and you're like, oh, I'm not sure. Yes, I'm doing it. And you've had how many shows now? 5, 6?
I've just published my 6th one. I've got 3 more recorded. So anybody wants to talk about love and life, come on my podcast, because I need to record some more. I need to record some of just me talking as well, because everything at the minute, I'll have you on there. I'll let you on one day.
Rude.
I'll let you on one day. But I need to record some of just me talking as well with my musings. But I was thinking, I'm having so much fun actually talking to other people that it's like, we'll look at what I need to say later. I didn't get the job. Somebody else that, obviously internal, or somebody else that identified, but it was brilliant for me because I actually started to podcast, and it's for me, I think a podcast is even better than a blog. I know we can do also, I know I can blog, vlog, podcast and all that lot, and you should do that, you know, everything you do, you should do all of them at, but I just love the medium of podcasting and having a conversation. One of the ones that's coming out, I interviewed Brian Nash, aka Nasha, who was lead guitarist in Frankie Goes to Hollywood, but is now a funeral celebrant. That was a brilliant conversation. He's so nice. And I can't wait for that one to come out, because we talked about, I'll wait. We talked about loads of stuff.
What we will do is, when this goes on the website, we will make sure a link to your podcast is added. With all the information about you, so that we can come and follow you, because I think that not everyone's social media looks after them. I know that I can use my social media and I can go through my feed, and it inspires me and it motivates me and it educates me, and I always learn from you. You've been so important to my education on many subjects around diversity for a long time, and I love that. I love that I get that, but not everyone gets that from their social media feed. So the fact that you're bringing some love into everyone's life is really, really wonderful. Really good. Love it.
Going to the future, it's learning more. Obviously next year is going to be stupidly busy with ceremonies, but they're going to be bigger and better than they would have been this year, just as a result that, you know, I might have some news to tell you come September, so I can't say anything just yet.
Sounds good.
But keep your fingers crossed. And just keeping on learning and diversifying in what I actually do. So it's not all about just ceremonies. Like I say, I want to teach celebrants. I don't want to do basic new training. There's too many other companies out there doing a far better job than I would do on that. But what I want to do is the continued professional development, and we are a profession. We need to continue develop. That's what I want to get into. The future's looking bright.
That's really good news. But the future is looking bright because you've shared today how you've taken opportunities that have come your way. You've seen something that's not working right, and you've gone out of your way to fix it. And you look around you and think, how can I make this better for everyone? And I think that is a beautiful message to finish on today. Thank you so much for joining me. We didn't even get to mention the fact that Michelle and I are both top 100 small businesses. With 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row, the Business Women's Network has produced at least one of the top 100 small businesses for the Guardian newspaper, which is pretty epic. I'm not sure we can manage 4 years.
We've got to get it to 5, and then we can have us all in the room and just like, yes, we've done it.
It'd be pretty amazing. But Michelle is a multi-award winner like myself and the BWN, and I know it's led to amazing things. So you really must come back and talk to us again, because I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Michelle. That was just brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Bye.